Seeing my PowerPoint presentation now.
Yes,
Yes.
success.
Yep.
Yep, success. Okay, so what I'm going to do, I'm going to run past the bit that Kendall was going to talk about and just do my little bit first, and hopefully Kendall will then be back online. So we'll...
Good idea.
Basically, what I wanted to talk about was, and I'm sorry if for some of you this is sort of like going over stuff that you already know or you're pretty certain you know, but just talking with various people around the district, I thought it would be useful just to quickly run through some of the important dates that secretaries need to be aware of during the Rotary year. Obviously, we all know the Rotary year starts from July the 1st. And what that really means for club secretaries is that your year and the year for things that you need to do, especially if you're an incoming or a new club secretary, a lot of things you need to be thinking about really need to happen in June. So if we look at the important dates and the things that sort of define the Rotary year, June, well, the big one, of course, is really you should be holding your club assembly in June. This is where you're getting the opportunity to look forward to really come up with and set some kind of plan for the coming year, projects, what you want to support, how you want to do it. Or more mundane sort of housekeeping things, please do remember to get your compliance statements signed off and copies returned to myself. You won't not be insured if you fail to get them in. But realistically, if, God forbid, something did happen, you did need to make an insurance claim, it is going to make life easier for you if those compliance statements are there and they're in place. And also for those clubs that look at undertaking foundation matching grant products, not the district grants, but foundation matching grants, a reminder that you need to make sure that the memorandum of understanding.
Grants,
sorry, they're called global grants.
Grants.
Sorry, yeah, my mistake. Sorry, I always get that wrong. So you need to make sure that the memorandum of understanding is completed and returned to the district foundation chair. October, you'll be invited for to put forward nominations for district appointments. And also, in terms of your own club, you need to issue notice to the club for nominations at the special general meeting. So that's the club officers. So you're looking for your club secretary, your treasurer, your vice president for the coming year. Obviously, that is important. It's you know, it gives people enough time to think about whether or not they might be prepared to stand. And also, don't forget, council will need to approve the previous year's accounts. November, time to issue your formal notice for the special general meeting. For those of you who are wondering, it's according to the standing orders, it's 14 days notice you need to give for the SGM. And in December, it's time to hold your club SGM. One thing on that, obviously, if you have your details of who your club officers are going to be, please let us know. So it's really important, please, that you do update Rotary View as soon as possible with your next year's club officers. It really does help at a district level with planning events and being able to get out all of the relevant details for training, for seminars and so forth. And also just a note there that the accounts should also be approved by the club, and as soon as they're approved, confirmation does need to be sent, please, to the district governor and the district secretary. So that pretty much brings you up to Christmas. All your Christmas events lead you back into the new calendar year. So February time, you need to be starting to think about the annual general meeting, election nominations. So these are any honorary members, ordinary members of the club council, and important for district, your district voting representatives. March time, you'll be invited to submit any nominations for district committee members. The club council ideally should be looking at approving a draft budget that you can put to the club for the annual general meeting. And it's always a good one, this. It's agree next year's club subscription. Again, please remember to issue a formal notice for the annual general meeting. And again, that's 14 days. And just a little note there, I know some clubs aren't as regalia driven as others, but if you do still maintain club regalia, president's chains of office and what have you, don't forget to order the name bars or whatever, any past presidents' medals or whatever that you're going to be needing in July. And then obviously April is time to hold the club annual general meeting, which ideally it should be before the district assembly. And also, importantly, please do get every member just to do a data check to confirm that the data that is held on Rotary View is actually correct and up to date. And then in May, district assembly, and it says there, encourage incoming presidents hold council meeting before club assembly. Encourage is synonymous with make sure that he does or she does. It is important that you start your new Rotary year in July with a clear idea of what you want to set out to do. The danger of sort of, telling you things that are pretty obvious. The other things, obviously, as club secretaries, it's just about ensuring that club business meetings are recorded, that votes, especially important, votes to approve donations from the trust, they need to be recorded and approved. You need to ensure that the club council meetings are recorded. SGM, AGM, the same thing. And it's also, of course, please make sure that new members' procedure is followed correctly. Arrange with the president any inductions for new members. One thing we have noticed, new members, it's quite concerning that a number of new members do not appear to have My Rotary accounts. Strongly encourage clubs to make that a part of the almost like the induction and mentoring process. Really is very useful, and it certainly does help with a lot of things. And then, of course, a personal plea, please keep Rotary View up to date. New members, changes of address, changes of email, club officers, committee chairs, leavers. I hear quite a bit of, not really criticism, but people sort of say, Rotary View is so-so, or Rotary View doesn't, etc., etc. I get that there are concerns with it, but at the end of the day, Rotary View is only ever going to be as good as the data that we put into it. So keeping it up to date really, really does make a difference. My final little point there, ensure that your club carries out a risk assessment for all of your meetings and events. With that, I think I'm going to try handing back to Kendall.
Hi, Vernon. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can indeed. Are you back?
I'm back. Thank you very much. Thank you for your patience. I think we'll just carry on at this stage on this, as the modern technology isn't working. Any questions for Vernon at this stage about what you've heard about the procedures and what's coming up?
I've bored them all already. Sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll just say that quite a few people think that being a secretary is quite long and complicated. In reality, you just take the diary as laid out by Vernon there, the activities, and just make certain that you time things correctly
Yeah.
on that. And I know various people who've come into Rotary with just 3 months' notice and have picked up being secretary of on that. So
Yeah.
that works. It's not as difficult as people make, and we are here within district to actually help people out on that. Barry, you have your four in the
Yeah,
air.
just to point to Vernon that if clubs want to make use of the early bird discounts with Matthews, with regalia, they need to order that in January, not later in the year. Sorry.
That's
I don't think I've ever managed to get an early bird discount. Didn't even know they
I
did one. Thank you
didn't
for that,
even know
Barry.
we have one. We'll make
Yeah.
a note on that. Thank you for that update of that. Having seen the price of some of these name bars,
Yes.
uh,
Yeah, it's well
any
worth it.
discount would be welcome, particularly those who've got the gold ones. You might want to seek to go to the gold plate ones, having seen
True.
those versions of those on
I
that.
think John Hinmore had his hand up earlier. Did you have a question, John? You need to
Okay.
unmute yourself.
The only other thing I would point out, which sort of to be wary of, is that you must. It's out if you've got a charity part of your club, you must document those minutes because you may well be asked for them. So having a cup of tea in Waitrose or John Lewis and saying, "Oh, we agree the money goes here, there, and everywhere," isn't going to suffice for the charity commissioners. But by just minuting it in your own club minute system, that will actually guarantee that. And I know one or two clubs, they'll pick clubs at random. We're not obviously high risk clubs because you don't actually handle a lot of money. But I suspect if you are handing more higher end of charity donations, you may well want to make certain that's under complete. So was there anybody else who had a question at all?
I think John, did you want to ask something?
Yes, please.
Yeah.
It's about the compliance statements
Yeah.
that need to go to Vernon. Where do I find the compliance statements?
They.
Sorry.
Yep. Sorry. You can find them on the RGBNI website. They're in the members area, but I can send you a link to that afterwards, John.
That's fine. No, I just need to know where it was because I went on the website yesterday and typed in compliance statements and got a whole list of materials. But no,
they're on the RGBNI website, and if you from the launch screen, one of the sort of boxes on the menu actually says compliance, and all of the statements are available there. And if you get really stuck, give me a shout, and I've got spare copies.
Right, lovely, thank you. That's great.
No problem.
Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. Yes, Vernon, do you want to move on now to Rotary Club Locator?
I was afraid you were going to say that.
Yes, we have. You can join in with this if you have your iPhone or Android in your hand to see what happens. It's sitting. Do you want me to recall? You've got the slides to hand because I can.
Yeah, I've got this.
Put them up and display otherwise.
Okay. Okay, are you seeing my?
Yes, do you want to put it into full mode now? Yeah.
Okay. Okay, so the Rotary Club Locator, it's only available as an app to run on your phone. Two versions. It's available from either the Google Play Store or the Apple Store, but both versions run in pretty much the same way. It is a surprisingly useful little app. You need to obviously firstly download it and install it, and those are the details. And then once you have it installed, you can launch the app, and the first thing you come up with is this screen that you can see here with the keywords, country, region, state, district, etc., etc., etc. If you're just looking for a club near you, you can just tap the Near Me button, and it will switch to the screen you then see on the far right of the screen. Now, the range by default is set at 40 miles. Realistically, somewhere like the UK, that is going to give you a very large set of results. So I would suggest changing that 40 down to something slightly more manageable. In the local area, if I set it to 10 and I then ask it to find the clubs, it demonstrates perfectly that you find it difficult in Rotary to do any Rotary after a Wednesday or a Thursday. The local clubs, according to this Near Me, that meet on a Monday are Hoddesdon, Amwell and Enfield. For various reasons, I'm not going to demonstrate going any further than that, because we want to be able to make the video available, and we've actually had issues with YouTube because if we go any further, it shows people's personal details. But it's useful to know that if you then tap on the club that you're interested in finding out more about, it will give you the president's name, telephone number and email address, as well as the secretary's name, telephone number and email address. It will tell you where the club meets. It will also provide map directions to that particular club. And of course, it doesn't just work in the UK. Say for the sake of argument, you're on holiday, you're in Spain, you've just landed at, I don't know, let's say Alicante Airport, and you think, oh, it'd be nice maybe to try and visit a Rotary club while I'm here. You can either, again, use the Find a Club Near Me, or you could tap in on that previous screen a keyword. You could enter Spain as the country or the region. You could put in keyword Alicante, and it will, again, if you search, it will give you those club details. It will also give you the meeting place and the contact. Very useful, handy little thing to have with you. And certainly I've used it to find clubs when I've been in Spain. Ironically, they met sort of like 3 days before I arrived, but nevertheless, all good and all very useful. So,
right.
Kendall, do you want to talk about useful links?
Yes. Do you want to operate the screen, given my complete low level now running in the rural Hertford doesn't work? So, useful links. This is a collection of very useful links and apps which will make your app use of Rotary far more enjoyable. The first thing we'll bring your attention to is on the next slide, which goes under the name of single site sign-on or SSO sometimes. You can, when you get access to the slides, which are on the bookshelf, it's either Rotary GBNI portal, you can click on there, or you can look at HCPS member Rotary RGBI there. There's about 6 areas which you'll get into in there. Obviously, it's recognizing me at this stage. You can click back on Rotary Magazine, for example, and there is something called the members area, which will take you into Rotary Great Britain and Ireland. And it may be a bit small to see on this, but you'll see that it's giving you the information which is specific to Great Britain and Ireland on there, as opposed to the more international information, which comes in the next slide. So that's where you get into Rotary Great Britain and Ireland there. Next slide, please. There are another now 5 boxes been added to this. I wasn't going to particularly go into much detail about the forum, but you can explore that for yourself. And that is a method of message exchanging within Rotarians. You may or may not find it completely irritating. I'll just leave it at that. The Rotary GBI and Impact portal is a new innovation which enables you to advertise your events for other Rotarians to come along and help. In particular, anybody who's a direct member and not associated with a club. If you want to join the trial on this, because it's in the trial stage at the moment, speak to Vernon, myself, or Jeremy Wyman, because we can put you in direction. There is some training which needs to be done, because you will be handling the responses back from Rotarians, but you can click into it now. And bearing in mind that we are Central and Eastern England, and I'll show you how you can remember that later on, you'll get a list of clubs who have pioneered using it, which are Hertfordshires, Hertford, Great Missenden and Cheshire Valley. So they're the ones who are up and running with this. But by all means, think about that if you're short of people for events. And if you look at them, Great Missenden, for example, are advertising, I think it's for elves at Christmas. So it's that sort of thing you can do. Rotary View, there's another way. The next black box is Rotary View. If you click on that, that will take you into Rotary View. The next grey box is Rotary and the online shop. So that is where you can order leaflets. You can also order pull-up banners, or you can order corporate plaques and various other things on there if you're at that stage on there. The bottom one is Rotary International. So this is where you're going from directly into the Rotary International website, as opposed to being into the Rotary Great Britain and Ireland. So in there, you can get access to a whole lot of useful things, but I'll just take you through that. So next slide, please, Vernon. If you click on that box, you'll see a page which says, "Welcome to my Rotary." You'll have to sign in at this point. You already have signed in once to get to that first page, but that the Rotary system everywhere in the world operates the same, but there is the Rotary International system, and next to it is the local system, and the two are not connected, and you log in to one and the other. But once you log into both of them at least once in a day, it'll keep you in there. So you'll need to sign in. If you've never signed in, your sign-in identifier is your email address, which you use when you join Rotary. And if you're on this call, it's the email address that we sent you the message the meeting information to. If you're stuck, speak to your secretary. If he or she is stuck, I guess it's back to Vernon, myself, or any of the district team who can talk you through, and we can tell you what your member ID is. You then type in a password. If you've forgotten your password, it will then do the usual prompts of sending your password to your registered email address. What you can see there when you go into it are 6 boxes. Next slide, please, because This is the a landing page, and these are the 6 boxes now active because you've gone in. You can see it's identified me. Depending on what position you have within Rotary, because we're all equal in Rotary, but some people have more responsibility than others. So if you are a secretary and you click on some of these boxes, you'll get more information than a member. And because I'm district, I get to see a bit more, and the district secretaries get to see even more. So that's how the structure goes into that. On that, I've circled 2 boxes in particular. That's Rotary Club Central and Learning Centre, which I'll go into. The others are looking a bit more into, so for example, Grant Centre and Services Project Centre are Grant Centres to do with foundation. Service Project Centre are examples of projects you might want to join. So they're sort of things you can explore at your leisure. Manage prospective members is a system now up and running. And if someone asks to join Rotary just write a general email saying, I want to find out more about Rotary. They will be identified as to what area they are, and it will then end up with an email to the president, the secretary, and the membership lead saying someone's interested in Rotary in your area, and it will all be managed through there. Those clubs who already started to receive those have been in contact, because if you don't do anything about it, it gets elevated up the system within district. So poor Amanda and myself get them to look at. So we then phone up the clubs and send them back down again. So it's a very efficient system of tracking members. But if you've met it, you've met it. If not, hopefully you'll meet it in the future, because it will start coming in. And again, we're there to help you. But we'll go back to the 2. There's the Learning Centre, and then there's Rotary Club Centre, Central. So we go to the Learning Centre on that. Next slide, if it's building. Yeah, thank you. This is the next slide. This is an example. And again, it's probably very small print, but you can start looking at this at your joy. These are the courses which you can get access to free as a Rotarian at any level within any of your positions within that. So, for example, some of the titles here look quite interesting if you are interested in further learning. So, for example, there's things like an introduction to adult learning, because on the whole, we're dealing with adults who are learning rather than children who we're training. So there's a subtle difference there. You'll find out about that. There's obviously things about how to become a facilitator. Change management, that's quite a good one. If you want to know how to move your club forward, not that any of us have clubs who have people who are stuck in their ways, but it tells you techniques to try and persuade people forward in that. There's a section there about developing a speech. There's also a section there about how to give a vote of thanks, of which the opening sentence is, don't make it longer than the actual speech that has just been given. So it will spell out, it is organised common sense, but it does say you there. Engagement and belonging. It's going to talk about how to get members in. And there's some interesting ones on the bottom. Understanding conflict, what's causing conflict. And there's a new one about forgiveness, societal healing, and Rotary. That's about essentially mental health. That is one of the huge issues that Rotary is seeing, because Rotary, we're out there in the community. We are seeing the impacts of polarisation of views. We're seeing problems of media getting out of control, but it's all there. Plus, there's other things like fundraising basics, how to run a committee, etc., etc. So that gives you an idea of what you can pick up for free. It goes into quite a lot of detail, so you can find out what your personal biases are within some of these. That's, I think, in the conflict section. Why am I not getting on with people? It's because you've got these biases. It's actually a very, very clever system. So by all means, if you want to wander around there, have a look on that, and access to anybody with a Rotary account or Rotary Learning Centre. Next slide, please. The other tool, which is very useful, we're finding when we rolled it out as a pilot to 6 or 7 clubs originally, is in Rotary Club Central, which I know did historically have a very bad reputation for being a bit bureaucratic. this has been streamlined down to one bit you might want to consider is, what are your goals for your club? Now, you may well think, I left my previous life or in industry or wherever having to set goals and objectives, but the aim of this is to make people think. And there's loads of goals you could go for, but it's been organised into the top 6 you might want to start thinking about within your club. And they're linked back to the presentation I would have given about Yinka's message about what are the goals, what are we trying to do in Rotary, which is grow membership, have fun, and don't forget about foundation and polio. So if you look at club membership, this is a real live one from Hertfordshire's back in February, because you can access, and anybody in your club can access this, by the way, in this. So club membership, what's a club goal? Yinka said, just the basic level, Yinka said, have one more member, net member, at the end of this year than you did at the start of this year. That's your low goal. Your high goal is to equal the best number of members you've ever got in a year, which are some clubs who've got in 6 members this year would mean their goal would be 6 if they chose to do it. It's completely voluntary, but the aim of this system is to start people thinking about where they want to do, what they want to do with Rotary, how they want to develop it, where they want to go. So one of the goals is to have a strategic plan, and that may be simply, what are you going to do with your club over the next few years? What projects, short-term projects you're going to have? What long-term projects may you have? What ones you're going to carry on? An interesting one is service participation, which I put out there and innocently thought, there's 25 members in Hertfordshire. We will have 25 people attending a service event. And that causes some discussion, because in some clubs, people just don't turn out. So, but at least have an idea of what your level of participation is. What level would you like? We're not marking you on this. It's to start that dialogue of what's going on. The other 2 bits are goals you can set of how much do you want to give the foundation. It's up to you what you put in there. It could be 0. You might want to put some money in there and then see how it goes on. And similar for polio. The polio one is quite an interesting one, because these are not meant to pick people up. But when I looked at it recently, I found that the club didn't appear to have given any money to polio this year. And I thought, I'm sure we've raised quite a lot. And of course, the treasurer then confessed he hadn't actually put the money through yet. So there are uses in these monitoring systems, just picking up things where people will get round to it. And on the subject of fund contribution and polio plus contributions, if you've got goals and objectives for the year, you need to move the money in the next few weeks, because it needs to be in by about mid-June to count on that. Next slide, please, Vernon. 2 other tools which are out there to help you. These are sitting on the bookshelf, which, as I said, you can get to by typing Rotary in beds. There's 2 items there. The one on the left is a diary. It's actually the diary I will be following of where I'm supposed to be. On the whole, if I'm supposed to be somewhere, it's going to be at a major district event, such as tonight on here. It's about various exhibitions that are coming up in the next few days or so. It is set up so that the dates are correct, the times are correct, and more importantly, where you go for more information. The other information there is the booklet there, which is a flip book, which is the organisation for next year. It lists which clubs are in which areas there, who your assistant governor is for those areas, and there is also pictures of the various district members and officers showing, yes, Vernon's looking horrified at this stage, in action. So you've got some idea of who we are, and we're all very unapproachable. Next slide, please. Any questions at this stage in time? Yes. you want to end the slideshow, Vernon, and then we can see
Yeah.
who's there? I can see a bit more on that. Yeah.
Kendall, can I
Stuart, yes.
ask about the learning modules? I did the secretarial one and various ones associated with that. I was keen to do them again for some strange reason. It must be the heat last week got to me, or whatever. But I couldn't find a way of doing it. It wouldn't let me go back in because it said I'd finished that particular module.
Right. You can. It's a bit difficult to spray. On the left-hand side, you have the ability on the My Learn left-hand side. You have the ability to add in courses. That's how you should add it back in again. It knows you've done it. Unfortunately, I've had the same issue because I wanted to go back and read something which was to some legal aspect. I wanted to check again. But if you go into it, you can say you can self re-enroll by if you go into My Learning on the left-hand side. That you can go in that way, but it's not. You just can't click again. You're correct on that, Stuart. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
I'll just give people a few seconds. Okay. I'm aware that Amanda's on the call as well. So should we load up the slides again and go on to what is coming up in the future for this?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, can you see the slideshow now? Yeah.
Yeah. Can you put it in back into full screen? Yeah.
There we go.
Yeah. Future events, both face to face and not Facebook, the face to face one. District handover. That's at Hertfordshires. It's usually held at the President's Club, and I'm in a breakfast club. So you get up early to come and see us all there. 7:15 to 8:30. It's on July the 1st. On that, I'm aware that some of you may well be in Taipei or coming back from Taipei from Rotary events, but by all means come along. An email's been sent out to you to actually prompt you to come along to that. There's a limited number of capacity at Woodson on that. And we're nearly at capacity. So if you all wish to come along, then you need to log in to do it on that. There is a sponsored wing walk at Duxford, but we would encourage people to come along and support or even get on the said aircraft and hang on for that. The next district forum which is a district meeting, which you're all invited to, is on 26th of August. It will be by Zoom. And that's when we look at projects and activities for next year. This is when we need to start thinking about, are you going to do Dictionaries for Life? And we'll explain to you what Dictionaries for Life are. Are you going to do Wrap Up, for example? What youth competitions are coming up? We've had one or two people ask to present on new projects which are coming along. So there's 2 slides worth and 3 minutes worth. I think we've given some people on topics, some quite serious topics. One is about family violence and what Rotary can do and help within that. And another one is early starter kits for schools, what's an early starter kit? You see life in Rotary. Clubs have been asked, can they provide an early starter kit for 4 or 5-year-olds? And it's pen and pencils and paper and a reading book, because increasingly children have never handled a pen or a pencil. They've just been given an iPad to play with. They've never been read to. So this is came as a bit of a shock to me. But anyway, someone who's presenting on that. So they're the sorts of topics. These are things which you can readily pick up within your club, within that. we'll talk about, depending on the timings, if it's ready, we'll talk about things like Christmas toy boxes for women's shelters, for example, and also packing. We'll at least signal those up. There'll be more details. So you've got those coming along. They're much late. They're about November, December time on that. And the other thing is that I know none of us have started our jobs for next year, but we have to start thinking forward. And we make our first request for district people to come forward to fill district positions. So don't hang back. I know it's a long way off, 27, but we do have to start the process correctly on that. Next slide, please. That wing walk. Amanda Joseph is leading this. If you would like to wing walk, by the way, you're the person out on the front of the propeller there. It's not actually wing on that one. Do come along and support us, and we'll send out more blurb. But there's a possibility that you too could be do the wing walk. Obviously, you have to raise some money to do it, but it's there. And last slide, Vernon. Showcases which are coming up. These are an opportunity for people to meet face to face, find out more about Rotary, particularly for prospective Rotarians. They are being cited in areas which have expressed an interest in setting up Rotary clubs or expanding their own area. So it works by people come forward and volunteer to lead them. This can be spectacularly successful. I think Watford are up to about 6 or 7 people from the showcase that they did, but they planned it like a military campaign, basically, of promotions. Others haven't been so successful because the clubs hadn't really sort of built in to do it from that one on there. I'll stop there, and if you take the end slides now, Vernon, say, yeah, can you take the yeah, thank you. Just do that, yeah. Any more questions or thoughts from anybody?